La... Que tengo curiosidad. Vi este run ayer que tengo curiosidad por él. Uy. Sería una runa y ya, creo. Porque literalmente hace años, en plural, que no juego el rojo. Así que tampoco sé muy bien la ruta y esas cosas. Sé más o menos dónde ir, pero no realmente. If that makes sense. En fin. ¿Dónde está esto? Coño. ¿Dónde está? ¿Están settings? Están settings, vale. Es nostálgico, en verdad. No sé qué paleta llevo. Me imagino que la nueva de Default. O sea, la nueva. La... música tengo en el juego, pero estaba súper bajita. Y si voy a estar jugando con... Voy a aumentar, no se escuchará bien. Así que... podemos hacer otra cosa, en verdad. Vale. Apañado. Estoy en incógnito porque no quiero que me estropee las estadísticas luego. Sorry. Pensé que también he perdido. Hemos sido ambos. No, eso me parece correcto. ¿No funcionando el de esto? No. Hmm. ¿Te imaginas? Quizá necesito la versión inglesa, quizá. Ay, qué pereza. Eh, Más o menos. No, que esto randomizer no me tiro. Vale, merci. Sí, yo lo que he hecho es ir a pillar un Game Shark. Así que... No sé. Hasta luego. Joder. O sea, que he encontrado un código para la versión española, pero tampoco sé nada. No, los códigos estos no son nada. Qué raro. Ya, porque las es Enhanced. Voy a probar una cosita, a ver. Es lo único que tengo yo, así que. Yo como hago cosas muy raras ya me lo tengo instalado. Hostia, pero... No, claro, porque Minecraft instala el suyo propio, ¿cierto? Tiene que buscarla, sí. Probemos. Es muy raro que el juego no tenga música por sí solo. ¿Has probado de Square? ¿Qué has dicho? Vale. Intenso el tutorial, ¿no? ¡Oh! Squirtle, el Pokémon acuático. Sí, sí, Squirtle. ¿Le has metido movimientos o algo? Nice. Los que vienen a nivel 1. Mi Squirtle es un poco raro. No sé qué. Es que viene con el... Lo he metido en este juego. Qué pena que los otros trucos no me vayan. De repetir experiencias y esas cosas. Porque si no... Wow. Este run veo un pavo jugarla y terminando en el 50 peleando solo con los obligatorios. O sea... Que de risa. Se terminó el campeón y subió en el 50 matando al campeón. Con el último ataque, o sea... No que no existe, pero... ¿Dónde era ahora? No me acuerdo. Ah, sí, el bosque, tío. He pasado por donde me tocaba. Ups. Este era opcional. Pues su muerte es necesaria. La estrategia con Mewtwo es apretar la A. Básicamente. Este es el obligatorio. Creo que tengo un 20% así de probabilidad de crítico. Y sí, este ha sido un Brook sin pasar por... O sea... Qué fase es este juego, ¿no? Hay muchos Pokémon de bichos, los cazabichos. ¿A qué se debe? ¿O si tengo que denunciar? Nah, 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 nah. Pam, param. Chica que luchar. Siento que aquí no tenían nombre aún. Los NPCs. ¿Era en este césped que había un esparro? ¿Un espiro? ¿What? Sí. Y con generación 1 da igual la vida. Necesito un espiro para máquinas ocultas. Buah, no me acuerdo del camino de esto, la verdad. Era por... ¿Así? Creo que no. Sí, vuelo y corte. Joder, que puedo aprender a este señor. Oh. Luego queremos un Lapras para fuerza y surf. Creo. Y un Paras para otras cosas. No me acuerdo. Pues por aquí no era. Empezamos bien con el speedrun. Este es el final. Un Odish. Wow. Ugh. Creo que Mewtwo además sube de nivel bastante lento para lo que es. Es de la categoría lenta de Pokémon. Pero nada, la venderé. La espada de Yodo es la caña. Entiendo cómo estoy haciendo trampas. Pero no. ¿Tengo cuerda oída o algo? No sé, aquí no se usa cuerda oída. Por aquí. De seguridad, sí, vale. No sé ni en qué ciudad estoy. ¿Tengo un mapa? No he pillado el mapa, ahora que pienso. Igual. Miste. No estoy haciendo trampa. O sea, Look. Bueno, pues sin mapa. Estoy por debajo de su nivel. Hablando de Starmie. Hablando de nivel. Sí, pero Starmie se ha cargado el Mewtwo. Sobre eso. Vale, esto es rival 2. El rival 1A no lo he peleado aún. No saltaré, imagino. O sea, que no hace falta pelear contra él. No, sí, el 1A. No. O sea. No sé tan. Es que no me acuerdo dónde. Supongo, sí. Yo pensaba que para pelearte con Misty necesitabas hablar con Bill primero. Sí, pero ahí hay dos rivales. Hay el 6, creo. El rival 6 y el 1A, juro que hay allí. Quiero decir, ¿no te valdrá hablar con Bill para pelear con Misty? Porque se enfada que le trumpos la date. Pues eso en Yellow, uno de los remakes. ¿Sabíais que Kansas Snake al revés? Ups. Los dos siguientes no lo pueden evitar, ¿no? O sea. Sí. Pues pelea uno me como el otro. machacarla, machacarla, machacarla. Chica quiere luchar. Chica envió Odish. Sí, o sea, es... Ah, ¿qué objeto es? No es los objetos. Es que la generación 1 no juega mucho ya. Ah, ya. Ah, sí, eso no te importa. Ah, tenemos que ir a Bill para el ticket barco. No lo juego. Vamos, voy a mirar rollo ahora. Un momento. Okay, why not? MT es 9. No sé qué hace. Esta MT. Ups. Entre que soy yo y que voy a por 4 velocidad. Digo que tampoco sé qué ruta es. O sea, si tuviéramos como un rubí y esas cosas que tienes en las rutas. ¡No! Confusión de mierda. Luego Diglett. Tengo que ir por aquí, ¿no? Ahora. Ups. Ah, es cierto que es veneno. El veneno aquí permanece. No me acordaba. El veneno es el único estado que permanece fuera de combate, por algún motivo. Bueno, que te hace daño fuera de combate. Perdón. Pero permanece, creo que todos los permanecen. ¿Sabías que entre la puerta y aquí hay los pasos suficientes para que tenga un tic de veneno? O sea, si te da veneno aquí, abres la puerta y estás con una vida, llegas aquí y te mueres. Si no puedes hablar. Se ve que el fósil de Elixir es tan valioso que no tiene valor. O sea, precio. Rival 3. Pues pero no puede. Necesito un paras. O algo. Hello. Adiós, braquito. ¿Loco de Diglett? Sí. Me sirve. ¿Diglett? Vale, gracias. No, no le da igual para los Pokéballs. Okay. Lo que me importa para las Pokéballs es... el modelo Pokémon en sí. Diglett ya sabe excavar. Tiene sentido. ¿En serio, Diglett? Ah. No, en general eso no le importa. Ekans, tú no tienes brazos. Ups. De hecho, podemos hacer una cosa. Vamos a ver un vídeo de cómo de roto está la generación 1. He comprado Pokéballs, he comprado Pokéballs. ¿Cómo usa esto? No sé. ¿Qué es la risa de este vídeo?
Before becoming the commercial behemoth it is now, Pokémon started as a small game made by a small team. That team was still struggling with Game Boy development when it released the first games in the series, Pokémon Red and Green. As a consequence, those games were full of glitches, and most systems' inner workings were unclear. The best example are the catching mechanics. They are confusing, mostly hidden, and don't seem to make sense at all. On the programming side, they are easy to read.
Literalmente no puedes por el bitch
a
boost.
lot of conditions put back to back. But
O sea,
there is a reason why the subsequent games
puedes, pero
quickly moved away from that
tenías que estar reseteando cada vez que te metiera un cambio de
instead.
estado de estadísticas.
While a formula is harder to read, both tweaking each element and testing results are easier. Having a stack of conditions brings in a ton of unforeseen consequences and hard to control elements. Like what, for example? To know, we need to dig in and take a closer look at the catching mechanics in Pokemon Gen 1. Although I know what doesn't bring unforeseen consequences. Becoming a patron. It allows you full access to behind the scenes, vote on the next content I make, and even a mention in a video. We are in small committee right now, but anyone is free to join. Please consider it if you enjoy this video. There is one core number when it comes to capturing Pokemon, the catch rate. Its values goes up to 255, and the higher the catch rate, the easier the Pokemon is to capture. As you have probably guessed, rare Pokemon tend to have a low catch rate. This number is fixed per Pokemon species, and is not a factor you can directly modify. There are 3 other factors you have an influence on though, and those will change your chances of a successful capture. The Pokemon's current status, its HP, and which ball you use.
¿En serio Ingame puede? Un solo sin ganas. O disco también. O es muy fácil de atrapar, por suerte.
Let me show you with statuses. The status effects in Pokemon are separated in 2 tiers.
Yay.
The first one regroups Sleep and Freeze, and the second Poison, Paralysis, and Burn. The impact of each tier is a flat increase on your catch rate, and depends, like I mentioned, on your ball. Now, this system is fine and makes sense. The issue here is that status effects are too good. If you use Sleep, you can get an increase to up to 21% when using an Ultra Ball. This is a flat catch chance increase applied to every single Pokemon in the game. I get that a sleeping Pokemon would be easier to catch, but this removes the need for any kind of strategy. Just put the Pokemon to sleep and you immediately get a 1 out of 5 chance to capture. But before celebrating too early, we should take a look at hit points. On its own, lowering a Pokemon's HP does nothing. It is only when combined with balls that the system has an impact. See, every ball has an HP threshold. For the Pokeball and the Ultra Ball, that threshold is around 1/3, whereas the Great Ball's threshold is around half. Lowering a Pokemon's hit points will increase your catch chance, until you hit the threshold. Once you are past it, damage dealt has no impact whatsoever. If you ever try to get a Pokemon's health to the lowest possible amount, well, you were wasting your time and taking unnecessary risks. The third and most important factor, the ball used, is the main reason why Gen 1's catching mechanics are so confusing. The moment you throw a ball, a random number is generated, which will be used in all calculations moving forward. That number is between 0 and 255 for a Pokeball, 200 for a Great Ball, and 150 for an Ultra Ball. This seems to make sense. The Pokeball is worse than the Great Ball, which is worse than the Ultra Ball. Right? Well, for starters, if you try to capture a Pokemon with a catch rate higher than your ball number, you don't get an extra benefit. For calculations, the catch rate is capped at the ball number, meaning if you use an Ultra Ball to catch common Pokemon, you are just wasting money. Second, there is a specific number used in the HP formula, the ball modifier. That number is 8 for every ball, except for the Great Ball, where it is 12. But what does that change? Well, it is the reason
We're
the
sick so
Great
bad.
Ball's HP threshold occurs earlier. And, more importantly, it means that the HP factor for the Great Ball is 33% stronger than any other ball, making it stronger than other balls by design. And finally, we get to randomness. Due to a weird mix of developer oversight and technical limitations, the numbers randomly generated are only random most of the time, which leads to some strange interactions that are the final nail in the coffin for the Gen 1 catching mechanics. Basically, the Pokeballs are perfect. They always work as intended. They suck, but purposefully so. The Great Balls underperform very slightly for high catch rate Pokemon, but overperforms for low catch rate Pokemon. The Ultra Balls underperform significantly at high HP, but compensate by overperforming at low HP. They are also worse than Pokeballs for high catch rate Pokemon. Yeah, really. Before we get to the ultimate catching strategy based on the data gathered so far, there are two balls I have not mentioned yet. The first is the Master Ball. That ball is very simple. If you use it, the game bypasses any calculations and you succeed automatically. You may have heard it still has a 1 out of 256 chance to miss.
Nope.
That is false. The 1 out of 256 chance, or 0.4%, to miss only applies to moves. See, in Gen 1, even a move with a theoretical 100% accuracy could miss, 1 time out of 256, due to a programming oversight. But the Master Ball check works differently, and is thus unaffected. Second, we have the Safari Ball. For all intents and purposes, the Safari Ball is an Ultra Ball. Every check in place that looks for an Ultra Ball also looks for a Safari Ball. But wait, didn't we say the Ultra Ball performs badly at max HP, and its main benefit is the status effect bonus? Doesn't that mean the Ultra Ball is absolutely terrible if you can't use moves on the opposing Pokemon? Yes, and yes. The rare Pokemon exclusive to the Safari Zone can be a hassle to capture because of that very reason. The best encounter chance you can get is 4%, and once you do encounter them, your chance of a successful capture is a measly 6.5%. And no, throwing stones or bait is not worth it. There is still another weirdness in Gen 1 catching, and that is the wobbling mechanic. If you ever threw a ball at a legendary Pokemon, you may have gotten the message, "You missed the Pokemon," and assumed you couldn't catch it yet. But that message is simply Gen 1 unique version of the Pokemon escaping the ball without wobbling. Even more interesting is that the formula used to calculate wobbles does not have randomness to it whatsoever. Meaning the number of wobbles you get is actually a rough indicator of your chances to capture the Pokemon. If you don't change the status or HP of the wild Pokemon between throws, you will always get the same number of wobbles. As a result, the very system that was supposed to add tension to capture does the exact opposite. If you try to catch a legendary bird where you get no wobbles, the moment the ball connects, you already know you have succeeded, removing any suspense. Now that we know the bizarre ways Gen 1 catching works, what is the best strategy to catch Pokemon? Well, against most wild encounters, all you need is a Paras or Parasect with Spore, a stack of Great Balls, and you are golden. Spore has 100% chance to make the Pokemon sleep. The strength of this status, combined with the power of the Great Ball at max HP, and its overall versatility regarding catch rates, makes this ball the absolute best by far. It doesn't have the theoretical best chance to catch, but it is high enough to remove the hassle of capture, without help from missing no duplicating Master Balls. How do I know that? I completed a Living Pokédex challenge in Pokémon Blue. I caught them all. And I can tell you by experience, the moment I got a Parasect, most of my Great Balls became an instant success. The Ultra Ball still has its use though. Combining it with Sleep against legendary Pokémon is the most efficient. You don't even need to lower HP.
Cierto.
The
¿Para
added
qué?
catch chance is marginal compared to the more than 20% you get from status alone. Before going down the rabbit hole on Gen 1 catching mechanics, I always thought the schoolyard tricks of holding B, A and B and up, or mashing B while using a ball were silly.
No, son súper
Turns out,
válidas.
they make as much sense as the actual mechanics. I just wish I could tell my younger self that. Also, the Mew glitch. Imagine being the kid who actually knows how to get Mew. Anyway, Game Freak learned their lesson, fixed every mistake, and catching in Gen 2 is perfect. So it is time to play a game. Working or busted? Yeah, I have a video on that topic as well. Hugely recommended if you want a good laugh. Thank you very much for the time you have given me, and I wish you a wonderful day.
Uy, no tengo flash.
If you want to catch every single Pokemon in Gen 2, you will, at some point, have to learn about the catching mechanics and how to make the best of them.
Sí.
I was in that position, and what I have learned about Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and how broken these games are, was so funny, I had to share it. One of the core mechanics of the series, Capture, is governed by a formula which gets tweaked almost every generation. In the first games of the series, Red and Blue, most of the calculations do not make any sense and are really confusing. Understandable given how primitive Gen 1 was.
¿Dónde estamos?
Gold and Silver solved this by revamping the entire formula, leading to a more straightforward and easier to understand and explain process. In Gen 2, there are 3 determining factors taken into account during a capture: HP, statuses, and balls. Let's start with hit points. As expected, weakening a Pokemon by lowering its HP increases your catch rate. The formula used is based on the difference between max HP and current HP, and is linear, which means any damage dealt increases the catch chance. At 1 HP, you almost triple the base chance of capturing a Pokemon, without taking other factors into account. Note, however, that the increase is relative to each Pokemon's catch chance. For example, Ladybug goes from a 33.50% catch chance at max HP to 98.49% at 1 HP, while OO goes from 0.78% to 1.17. Still, everything is in order, working as intended, and, more importantly, makes sense for the player. A Pokemon should be easier to catch as it becomes weaker, and it is. Great. Next, statuses.
Estoy mirando un mapa.
There
Sí.
are 5 status effects in the
Caso de
game
duda.
that can affect capture, separated in 2 tiers. In the first tier, we have Sleep and Freeze, and in the second, we have Burn, Poison, and Paralysis. Each tier increases the catch chance by a flat amount at the end of the calculation, by 10 and 5 respectively.
Siempre ya en
out of
el monte lunar.
Meaning
Que no hace falta mapa,
3.91%
imagínate aquí.
for the first tier
Que no hace falta.
and 1.95% for the second. Or that's how things were supposed to work, but that's where we get a taste of the Gen 2 bustedness. Here's how it actually works. Sleep and Freeze increase your catch chance by 3.91, while Burn, Poison, and Paralysis do absolutely nothing. That's right, due to an oversight, the check in place for these statuses always fails, meaning no increase. The intended increase wasn't that significant in the first place, but could have helped a lot for rare and legendary Pokemon.
Vale.
So when it comes to statuses, either use sleep or just chuck balls. Or you could get really lucky with an ice attack, but I wouldn't count on it. Finally, we have the balls. And that's where things get hilarious. But before we laugh, we first need to learn the basics of capture. See, every species of Pokemon has a fixed number indicating how easily they can be caught. That number is called catch rate, and the lower the catch rate, the harder the Pokemon is to capture. As a rule, the rarer a Pokemon is, the lower its catch rate. In Gen 2, balls increase a Pokemon's catch rate by a factor dependent on ball's strength. For example, the Pokeball multiplies the catch rate by 1, the Great Ball by 1.5, and the Ultra Ball by 2, which makes sense. As balls get better, they have a bigger impact on your chance to successfully capture a Pokemon.
Siempre pesa.
I'm saying that because that is not at all how balls worked in Gen 1. They behave in a way you did not expect, and the Great Ball was actually the better ball. See, you know what? I'm not gonna get into Gen 1 catching mechanics, but it was really dumb. The other two normal balls are the Master Ball, which is an automatic success, and the Park Ball for the bug catching contest, which is equivalent to a Great Ball with a 1.5 multiplier. So far, so good. Everything is straightforward and works as you would expect. But Gen 2 also added a way to get special balls. Give Kurt in Azalea Town colored apricorns found in the world, and he will turn them into specific balls with specific requirements. If the Pokemon you are trying to catch fulfills these requirements, your ball will boost the catch rate significantly. If it doesn't, the catch rate is unaffected, turning it into a
Porque
basic
no son
Pokemon.
montañeros.
Now, I don't know if the developers were short on time, drunk, or if Kurt is just terrible at his job, but most of these balls do not have the intended effect. So it is time to play a game. Working or busted. We start with the Lure Ball, made from blue apricorns. The in-game description states, a ball for Pokemon hooked by a rod. The ball multiplies by 3 the catch rate of a Pokemon if you are fishing. Not the most useful ball, as most fish Pokemon are easy to catch, but still working as intended. Next, the Friend Ball, made from green apricorns. A ball that makes Pokemon friendly. This ball multiplies the catch rate by 1 and sets the friendship value of a caught Pokemon to 200. Again, working well. See,
Encontrar
any
salida
caught Pokemon
de alguna
starts with a
forma.
default friendship value of 70. The Friend Ball gives you a significant boost, and
Porque
is
el
actually
mapa no me ha
a
ayudado
ball.
mucho.
So where are the broken balls I keep talking about? Well, let's
Créeme.
look at the Fast Ball, made from white apricorns. A ball for catching fast Pokemon. The Fast Ball multiplies the catch rate by 4 if the wild Pokemon is Magnemite, Grimer, and Tangela. What? What? How does that even work? More than just being busted, it's also very specific. How does that happen?
Ah, sí, ya me acuerdo.
Turns out, the ball is supposed to work for all the Pokemon in 3 different tables. Pokemon with a 10% chance to flee, 50% chance to flee, or 100% chance to flee. Instead, it just works for the first 3 Pokemon from the first table, which happen to be
Rival
Magnemite,
4.
Grimer, and Tangela. A ball that works on 3 out of 251 Pokemon. Pretty niche. Next, the Heavy Ball, from black apricorns. A ball for catching heavy Pokemon, which works as intended. The heavier the Pokemon is, the bigger the increase to the catch rate. Although, there are 2 strange things to note about the Heavy Ball. First, It is the only ball which does not multiply the catch rate, but adds a set value to it. Which means its use is not just limited to heavy Pokémon, but rare heavy Pokémon. In fact, in practice, this ball results in a significant increase for only Lugia and Snorlax. That's it. For every single other Pokémon, you're better off just using an Ultra Ball. Also, it is the only ball which makes your catch rate worse if you do not fulfill its requirements. Additionally, while this ball works in Gold and Silver, in Pokémon Crystal, the game misinterprets jump data, resulting in a plus 40 catch rate increase for Kadabra, Tauros, and Sunflora, instead of the intended minus 20. On the topic of busted balls, the Level Ball from Red Apricorns, a ball for lower level Pokemon.
No.
It seemingly works as intended. The increase is correctly based on the difference in level between your Pokemon and the wild Pokemon. The issue here is hidden. For some reason, using a level ball bypasses the catch rate formula, resulting in the level ball increase being the only factor taken into account. If the opposing Pokemon is at 1 HP and sleeping, well, too bad, it doesn't matter. Made from pink apricorns, the Love Ball is made for catching the opposite gender. In practice, the Love Ball works on Pokemon of the same species of your current Pokemon, which is not clear at all from the description, but still working as intended, and of the same sex. That's right, this ball does the exact opposite of what it says. I mean, it's not like I have a problem with it. I just did not know 1999 Game Freak was so open. If you have a thing for same-sex relationships, no need to be shy and hide it in the code. Anyway, last but certainly not least, the Moon Ball, made from yellow apricorns. A ball for Moonstone Evolvers. Simple, to the point, easy to understand. This ball multiplies by 4 the catch rate of Pokemon who evolve using a Burn Heal. A Burn Heal.
¿Qué pasa, me cago? Estamos perdidos. Ah, no, sí. Ah, bienvenido a mis partidas de Pokémon. O sea, literal, bienvenida. ¿No está el... ¿Mansión Solona? Esto no es. A ver, ¿qué quiero aquí? Ahí quiero un té, ¿no? Lo que quiero.
This one's my favorite. They messed up the item ID. So now it checks for Pokemon evolving via the Burn Heal method. In case you do not know, out of 251 Pokemon, a grand total of 0 evolve using a Burn Heal, basically turning the Moon Ball into a prettier Pokeball. Actually, the Moon Ball is worse than a Pokeball, because you can buy a Pokeball. In Gold and Silver, you can only ask Kurt to make 1 special ball per day. This was changed in Crystal, where you can give all your apricorns of the same color at once. But the apricorns themselves are limited. That's right, there is only 1 apricorn tree of each color in the world, on Route 37, 42, and Azalea Town. And they also take a day to blossom, which made these special balls really rare and inconvenient to get, and explains why their brokenness flew under many people's radar, myself included. Nobody used them, or not in high enough quantity to notice the issues. Funnily enough, it is probably the reason these glitches did not get noticed early enough to be fixed. To be honest, I don't mind the special balls being completely busted. It adds to the charm of the first 2 Pokemon generations. Incredibly broken games, and yet so much fun to play. And there we have it. I am going to start the Gen 2 Living Dex at some point, but I had to share this before starting. It's pretty great. I hope you found this as funny as I did and enjoyed this silly video. Thank you for your time, and I wish you... The first and second generation of Pokemon games were fantastically broken. In fact, it would be faster to list the things that were not busted in the Game Boy games than the opposite. This is because of what they were. Relatively small games made by a relatively small team.
Yep.
By the time development on Gen 3 started, Pokémon was a worldwide success, and Game Freak set up as a big studio ready to make the next installment of their flagship game.
El código que tenemos ahora
As
de
such,
Pokéballs es
most
de
features
tercera
of Ruby and
generación.
Sapphire were rethought
básicamente.
from the ground up, and that includes the catching formula. In fact, that formula was so well thought out, it is still the basis for captures to this day. But what is this brand new formula? Well, here you go.
Yep.
Yeah, not the easiest to understand
I mean-
without any explanation.
Pero
So,
tiene sentido. O sea, no es tan difícil entender, la verdad, tampoco. No se le cabe. No le cabe, es un poco bastante fácil. Nah, 3 Forte Win. ¿La 8 cuál es? ¿Sun? ¿Moon? Nah. Nah. A ver, no es difícil, pero no es como antes, que era súper básico.
let's dig in. The number we need to obtain, the one we are calculating, is the final catch rate. It is this number, between 1 and 255, which will be used to determine if the capture is successful. Not to be confused with the Pokemon's catch rate. See, every single Pokemon species has a fixed catch rate. This catch rate is comprised between 3 and 255, and determines how difficult the Pokemon is to capture. The lower the catch rate, the harder it will be. As a rule, rare Pokemon have a low catch rate. Funny story, while Pokemon catch rates do not usually change, Pokemon Yellow had an exclusive catch rate for Dragonair and Dragonite. From Ruby and Sapphire onward, Raticate's catch rate was increased, and, most of all, the GameCube games Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD feature a wide variety of modified catch rates to better fit the in-game progression. Next part of the formula, hit points. The two variables taken into account are the maximum HP and the current HP. This means any damage done results in an increased chance to capture a Pokemon. It does not matter if the health bar turns from green to yellow or red. There is no threshold or low health bonus. HPs go down, catch chance goes up. After that, we have the two modifiers. First, the ball modifier, applied to the Pokemon catch rate. It is very straightforward. Each ball multiplies the catch rate directly, with the Pokeball being the baseline with 1 up to the Ultra Ball with 2. Every other ball has its own specific modifier and conditions to satisfy. We then have the status modifier. It is applied at the very end of the calculation, and is also very simple. If the Pokemon is paralyzed, poisoned, or burning, the result is multiplied by 1.5. If the Pokemon is asleep or frozen, multiply by 2 instead. Once everything is put into the formula, and we have our final catch rate, we are not done yet. We need to calculate wobbles. When it comes to wobbling, the Gen 1 and 2 games cheated. They first determined if the Pokemon was caught, then calculated the number of wobbles if it wasn't. Gen 3 is honest. It takes the final catch rate, converts it into a capture strength number, then determines if the Pokemon breaks out by pitting it against a randomly generated number 4 times in a row. If the capture strength is greater than all 4 breakout attempts, congratulations! You have caught the Pokemon! But how does that final conversion works? Using an extra formula. This one. Whoa! The game lost me when it started using square roots. What does this thing even mean? Well, we don't actually need to know how the formula works, but what it is trying to achieve. Here, the goal of this seemingly complicated equation is get a result that will allow for 4 wobble checks, while still retaining a catch chance equivalent to the final catch rate over 255, like the previous games. And it does manage that. Or it would if it wasn't for one small detail: integers. Because there is something I have avoided until now. Every single calculation mentioned so far is plagued with rounding errors. Pokemon uses whole numbers in the code, which means anytime you get a decimal value as a result, it gets rounded down. It also means the results we get are theoretically lower than they should if we were using decimal values. Turns out, the game was rigged against us from the start. But, at the end of the day, it does not matter that much, because the formulas were made with these errors in mind. And it does not prevent us from coming up with the most efficient way to catch Pokemon. Now, I am sure understanding how catching works made you want to get a Gen 3 cartridge and show the world of Hoenn what you're made of. Well, if you want a Japanese cartridge, trading cards, or anything Pokemon related stuff, so, what is the best and most effective way to catch Pokemon in Gen 3? Well, the advantage of the new formula is that it is simple and straightforward, so you probably already know. First, we lower the target's HP to 1. Full Swipe is the move specifically made for that purpose, and there are more Pokemon who can learn it among the 135 new additions. Second, we put the Pokemon to sleep, Freeze being clearly way too luck-based and risky to use. The best sleep move is Spore, which can now also be learned by Shroomish on top of Paras and Parasect. Lovely Kiss and Sleep Powder are fine as well, with a 75% chance to hit. Finally, we use the best ball possible. Gen 3 clearly wanted to mark the end of the reign of Ultra Balls. Their 2x modifier is beaten by most other special balls, giving you a significant boost to capture if you fulfill their specific conditions. In practice, the Dive Ball has a fantastic 3.5 multiplier, but needs to be used underwater, limiting its impact to 3 Pokemon. The Nest Ball beats the Ultra Ball for Pokemon level 19 or lower, which are usually easy to catch anyway, and the Timer Ball can get you a multiplier of 4, except it takes 30 turns of battle to get there. It is still better after 11 turns though.
30 turnos.
The Net Ball and Repeat Ball are the only two that are strictly better, with the former only usable on water and bug types, which are plenty, and the latter when catching a Pokemon you already own. So Ultra Balls are still the choice ball of Gen 3 games. But things change in Gen 4. See, Game Freak was so happy with their new formula, they did not modify it at all for Diamond, Pearl, and the subsequent Gen 4 games. With good reason. Apart from the rounding errors, everything works exactly as the player would expect without knowing the inner workings of the game. This means everything applicable to Gen 3 is applicable to Gen 4 as well, with the only exceptions being the balls added. The Quick Ball provides a 4x multiplier, but only on the first turn of battle, which is not enough to compensate for the lack of damage and sleep. The Dive Ball now also works when fishing or surfing, but it is not purchasable, so we keep the Net Ball as our go-to for water and bug Pokemon. Finally, after years of waiting for it, we have our new Overlord, the ball that surpasses the Ultra Ball, the Dusk Ball. The amazing Dusk Ball provides a 3.5 modifier whenever used in a cave or at night. Basically, in Gen 4, whenever you want to catch Pokemon, you play at night and slam dunk Dusk Balls on everything. It is so good, in fact, that its multiplier was lowered to 3 in Gen 7. But for now, go nuts! There is one final
que
type of
genial
ball
eso.
we need to talk about. A type specific to Hard Gold and Soul Silver. The Apricorn Balls, made by Kurt in Azalea Town. The Apricorn Balls were so busted in Gen 2, I made a video about it. As an obvious homage to how broken the original balls were, the developers decided to break the formula specifically to make the new Apricorn Balls busted as well. So let's take a look at Kurt's balls. While all the Apricorn Balls now work as intended,
No, es en
they
PPS otra
also
vez.
all have
Caer
a
Triton,
one-time
no he
mult of the
visto.
well. So let's take a look at Kurt's ball and you know about it.
Ah, aquí. No. ¿Dónde es el Riton?
But for
Un
now,
poco más para atrás, a ver.
go nuts! There is one final type of ball we need to talk about. A type
¿Es un
specific
Raidon
to
eso?
Hard Gold and Soul Silver. The Apricorn Balls, made by
Hostia,
Kurt
Giovanni.
in Azalea Town.
Pregunto, no
Apricorn
sé.
Balls were so busted in Gen 2, I made a video about it. Go nuts!
Ahí tienes. Reperior. ¿Esto qué es? ¿Acero roca? Ah, ya veo. Bueno. ¿Por qué estaba sin PPs? Por el simple hecho de que no había pasado por el banco, iba a decir, por el Pokécenter. ¿Por qué? Porque ahora puedo ser así, puedo excavar y... ¡Oh! Estoy en Pueblo de Lavanda. Y puedo ahorrarme el backtracking, básicamente.
Nuts. There is one final type of ball we need to talk about. A type specific to Hard Gold and Soul Silver. The Apricorn Balls, made by Kurt in Azalea Town. The Apricorn Balls were so busted in Gen 2, I made a video about it. As an obvious homage to how broken the original balls were, the developers decided to
podía haber
break
ido.
the formula specifically to make the new
Pero bueno.
Apricorn Balls busted as well. So let's take a look at Kurt's
Bien,
balls.
Elixir. Lo
While
queríamos.
all the Apricorn Balls now work as intended,
Ya está
they
llena,
also all
tío.
have a one-time multiplier. This is because, rather than impacting the catching formula, they modify the Pokemon catch rate directly. In theory, this would end up having the same result. Except the Pokemon catch rate is capped at 255. Which means if the Apricorn Ball would increase a Pokemon's catch rate over 255, it increases it to 255 and stops. Meaning most Apricorn Balls have very limited utility against common Pokemon. So, Dusk Ball. There is one final
That's
exception,
all.
the Heavy Ball. Like in Gen 2, it adds to the Pokemon catch rate instead of multiplying it. Meaning Heavy Balls are terrible against pretty much everything, yet incredible against rare heavy Pokemon. In Gen 2, there were two of them, Lugia and Snorlax. In Gen 4, while Snorlax is now better caught at night with a Dusk Ball, the Weather Trio joined Lugia to form the Heavy Ball Gang. It is a
sentido.
rather exclusive club,
Un Marowak.
as every single
¿Cómo
other
que un
Pokemon
Marowak? ¿Por qué
is
hay un
better
Marowak
caught
aquí?
with something else.
Ah,
And
madre
that's it
Kuno
for-
está intranquila.
Wait.
Vale.
The Heavy Ball skips 0 because of a coding error? Kurt, what is up with you? You couldn't make a single ball without messing up? You really suck at your job, man. Well, there we have it for Gen 3 and 4. Things got a bit
Genial.
more mathy, so I hope it was still easy to understand. And considering this was a much requested video, that it met your expectations. I would very much like to thank every patron supporting this content and making it happen, especially Calzini, Lucas Maximilian Leur, and Jonas C. If you want sponsor-free videos, as well as weekly and even daily updates, join us. Thank you for the time you have given me, and I wish you a wonderful day.
No, pues tú no. Ay, mira. Estamos un toque ahora. Yay, poca flauta. Vale. Dun, dun. Eh, No, relax. Despiértate, hijo. Wake up. Gamer, wake up. Un Lapras, un Surf. ¿Dónde está? Ups. Necesito si voy a hacer más estos, necesito pillarme un... hacerme un mapa. Porque la verdad es que me pierdo mucha facilidad, tío, en este juego. Hero. Ah, no, por aquí. Decía que me pierdo. Y no sé cuándo parar de caminar para comerme encuentros y esas cosas, o sea. Cachis. Vale, que hay. Me da vuelta. No estoy. Tendito. Hola. Hello. Sí. No sé qué canción es, la verdad. Ah, se ha puesto Esmeralda. Espérate. Voy a dar una cosita. Sí, 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 sí. Lo era, lo era. ¿Lo que es el safari? No. Esto es el Lapras. Vale. El ending de Silver Gold Crystal. He puesto una lista de producción de Gen. Es que siendo el ending, ¿sabes? Si ve el opening aún por ending, que no escucho. Con Koga. Este sí te suena. Pues no dices. Ahí tiene un crítico con el explotar. ¿Lo puedes creer? Se ha inmolado y yo tengo un crítico con emulación. Tener el run es inválido ahora porque he ganado a Koga con más de un Pokémon. Porque... Pero bueno. Una bici. Estoy súper perdido. Pero ¿cómo puedo perder tanto en un juego que he jugado 1000 veces? Justo a tiempo. Vale, tengo sur. ¿Ahora qué? Sí, he hecho que no se planta. O sea, me falta... Tres gimnasios. Alta Sabrina, Blaine y Giovanni. El Lapras me lo dan en Silco, en Cerulean City. What? ¿Cómo es esta? Ah, por eso. High kick. ¿En qué side estoy? Fucsia. Pero irás a Tengo ya el refresco. Vale. Es backtracking time, básicamente, ¿no? Joder. Ok. Joder. Me cago en su santa madre. Vale, ¿dónde estoy? Quiero una ubicación. Ciudad Carmín. ¿En Carmín hay algo que me interese? ¿Vermilion es azafrán o carmín? Sí, pues necesito... Vale, no, esto es... Carmín es Vermilion, sí. Pues necesito azafrán y cerulio. Cerulio por la bici. No sé si necesito la bici, en verdad. Pero... No. Era agua fresca, por cierto, en Generación 1. Sí. Pues no sé si necesito, en verdad. Bra. Yo no puedo correr, es porque hay un... Hay una ruta que solo avise. Y no sé si necesito. A ver si... Ya, como suelo cogerla siempre, a ver si... Yo no corro, yo estoy andando rápido. Voy al paso. Es una marcha. ¿Está por allí o por aquí? No sé. La llave magnética. ¿Cómo sabía que eras un Team Rocket? Porque me has atacado, básicamente. Si no veo que me va a atacar, si no veo que me has atacado, no lo habría sabido. Monkey. No sé qué si esto es necesario. Ya. Ya. Pues no sé si es necesario. Para bajar del juego. Pues podría... Poder pillar una caña. Y pescar a un Magikarp y darle surf a él. Igual. Fuck. Me van atacando sopa. Lo peor. Aquí puede dormir, ¿no? ¿O no? ¿No? Mm. ¿Cuál es la rata? ¿No veo que tiene un ratecate? ¿Capullo? Entro calcio. Yay. Yo creo que es especial, mira, genial. El especial es súper bueno. Vamos a ver el ataque especial, que es lo que es Mewtwo. Y la defensa especial, que es lo que es otros Pokémon. Rayando. La música de tercer segundo me está rayando. Gentry for the win. Ahí. Es que la intro con la bici y demás. Oh. Nice. Yo tengo... No tengas miedo, yo te rescataré. Yo tengo Aurahara de My Hero Academia con un One City Deku. Es super... de hace años, de cuando la primera temporada estaba saliendo uno. Aquí hay muy mono. El My Hero ya no me gusta, pero... Tengo una confesión que hacer. La gente sí. Tengo una confesión que hacer. Estoy perdido. Estoy perdido. Perdidísimo lo siguiente. Y tengo que ir a... por PPs. ¿Cómo me pierdo tan rápidamente en todo? ¿Cómo tengo tan más sentido de orientación en videojuegos? Para algunas cosas. Oh, nice. Qué guapa la del fondo. Con una novia de Ash ahí de fondo. No, eso fue un lujo. ¿En qué película era que Ash se enrolló con un Pokémon legendario? Nice. Vale. Ahora lo que hay que hacer es no perderse. Esto es fácil de decir. Sí, sí, que no sé dónde estábamos. Vale. Aquí hemos estado ya. Aquí no es. Es del piso 10, o sea que tampoco. Vale, al fin uno que no me pelaron ya con él. ¿Quién eres tú? Un macarra, un malabarista. Ah. Dame la llave, o putas. Vale, es que me corto de este camino. Creo que voy por el buen camino. ¡Yay! Da. Mira, encuentro al último hermano. Voy a dejar a uno de vida literal. Los hermanos están muertos. O sea, no están muertos, están incapacitados. Mira, esto me cura. A ver si. Hay alguna gente que se le llama Gary azul. En plan, entiendo el de esto, pero Gary en todo caso sí es solo en una versión amarilla. En todo caso. Si no recuerdo mal. No, es que es lo mismo, o sea, da igual. ¡Ey! ¡Perderme! ¡Eso me retrasó! ¿Tú qué eres? Antes real. No, ¿qué real es este? 5 o 6. No me habría dado cuenta. Ya. La tormenta. El de esto de arena del jodido Pichioto. Da un por culo. Ah, ¿no? Oh, no. Estoy envenenado. Pues Giovanni, cariño, pues sí. Yo solo quería romperte las bolas. 1050 ya, qué mal. Ya veo. ¿Hay dos gyms? Ah, claro. Está este que me da igual. Y está este que es interesante. Cachis. Nunca, no me sé ruta exacta, la verdad. Me sirve. Abra, cadabra a la casa. ¿Cómo crítico? Vale, ¿y ahora qué? Ahora tengo que ir a la isla. Vale. No me acuerdo cómo se llegaba. Sí, surf lo tengo. Ah. Sí, ahora miramos. Mapa del pueblo. Tengo que ir para abajo. Qué presita, mamá. Crap. Allí había una MT, creo. Algo hay aquí interesante. Ah, un cambio raro. No, nivel no necesita en ningún momento. Juego. Te dejo de intención, pero... Eh... To... Crap. Joder, macho. ¿Qué tenéis contra mí? Hay un pequeño problema, me cago. Tengo que bajar al sur. Y por aquí no se puede bajar al sur. O sí se puede. Que me hice por aquí. Vale. Sí, quizás... ¿Ahí dónde? ¿Dónde estoy ahora? Cierto. No me acordaba de esto. Mercedes. Ya me extrañaba. Oh, no tengo repelentes. Yay. ¿En el sitio correcto? Me he equivocado. Me he equivocado. Help. 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 Ayuda. ¿Dónde estoy? Pero al final es la cueva, ¿no? No me jodas. El tema se da cuenta. Volver a casa. Casi, casi. Y bajar por baleta. Fuera coñas, creo que es lo que voy a hacer. Primero lo vamos a guardar. Ah, mira, bici. Genial. ¡Uy! No, quiero que sea una cosa primero. No está el mar. No, no tengo vuelo. Es la cosa. Necesito Blind para tener vuelo. ¿No? Y la M1 no la tengo. No se consigue la M1 de vuelo. Es de mucha ayuda, lo sabes, ¿no? Es una ruta random. Hostia. Ah, pues tiene que ser cerca de Blaine, me imagino. Las islas. Chica, tengo un Mewtwo, nivel 52. Subats. No, me curaron el Pokécenter este. Por si hay que hacer un dig desde las islas. Al no tener vuelo. Que me vuelo no necesito, en verdad, Puedo ignorarlo. Fuck. Pues la gente está nadando en alta mar sin preocuparse por su vida y nada. O sea, no entiendo. Bueno, debería estar en la mansión Pokémon esta. A ver, lo pienso. Pero como digo, no nos hace falta el vuelo. Joder, bonita. La puerta está cerrada. Pues sí que hará falta entonces. Hello. Decía que Blaine necesitamos la mansión Pokémon esta, o lo que sea. Pues si no, el señor no aparece. Pues está cerrado el gimnasio. Que no me acuerdo exactamente cómo era esto. Ey. ¿Qué estamos? Y no puedo usar excavar porque volvería a un sitio que no quiero volver. Me está molestando mucho los ojos este patrón. ¿Caterpie es Butterfree, sí o no? Caterpie, Butterfree, yo creo que sí. Yay. ¿Lo es? Ah. No le la pregunté, y a voleo. Es la pregunta 3 esta. Que aquí se queda uno. Ya veo, ya veo. No voy a leer la pregunta. No sé qué. Espera, ¿qué pasa? Pero, ¿cuándo acertijo? He respondido voleo. No puedo nada ahí. Pues estoy cayéndome de sueño. Quizá, no sé, no creo que termine hoy con esto. Giovanni. Giovanni. ¿Dónde estás? Es que el excavar en lugar de volar es... En verdad, espero no me va a servir de nada al final. Fuck. ¿Dónde está Giovanni? ¿Ese es Giovanni? Pues si lo es, ya había ido por él. El rey de karate. Vale, no es Giovanni. Yo perdiéndome en un sitio fácil de navegar, qué raro. Ah, este es Giovanni. El superentrenador, sí. Lo veo. One shot que yo. One shot que yo. Otro. Que sí que sube niveles. Pero. No me ha dejado excavar desde dentro del gym. Creo que un par de veces que le he dado a curar y no me he curado. Porque le he dado la B. Creo. Estoy bastante seguro que eso ocurrió un par de veces. Gary, azul. Hijo. Tu pichiot está muerto. El Rayron, muertísimo. El Yara 2. Criticazo. El Growlite, ¿qué se sobreviva? No. La Kazam sobrevivirá. Otro crítico, no hace falta. Y Venusaur, estás muerto. En serio, tío, polvo veneno. No tenéis cosas más por culeras que darme que polvo veneno, ¿no? Pues nada, vamos a curarnos de nuevo por el jodiendo polvo veneno. Bueno. Hora de sacar la guía. Ok, yo esto sin guía no me lo hago. Yo también, la verdad. No me gustan. Francamente, no son muy tediosas. Entonces te lleno, parece ser. La Press usó la fuerza. La Press es un Jedi. Esto es la derecha, no la izquierda. ¿Cómo? Ah, vale. Repel. Quiero un repelente. No entiendo. O sea, yo soy la guía del de esto. Pero... ¿Prefiero esto? Bien, vale. Oh, está preciosa esta canción. Lapras usa la fuerza. Qué pacha. No sé, la que hay Víctor es horrible. O sea, llevamos aquí media hora. Salimos. Ah. Coño, es que le hice literalmente... Lapras usó la fuerza. En plan, vale. Yo no miento. Bueno, sí que miento, pero... No sé, o sea, que siempre miento, pero no ahora. No tengo un problema para mentir, pero bueno. Y sí, el Mewtwo se llama Squirtle, masa. Pues si me estás escuchando, sí. En efecto. En efecto. Es raro que no me den elixires. Well, let's go. Bien. Lorelei. Lorelai. Yo aún no he cambiado de equipo, Solo quiero decir eso. De equipo me refiero de movimientos. Ups. Hablando de no cambiar. La culpa ha sido el parálisis, obviamente. Dos críticos seguidos. Está bien eso. Otro crítico. Doble bofetón que da 4 veces. Son unos dobles, es cuádruple. Y otro crítico. 20% de chance de críticos. Porque Mewtwo. Tengo pociones o algo. ¿Cuánto ya tengo? Loco. Debería ser un one shot cada todos estos. Se Squirtle, o sea, quiero decir. Sí. Soy de los Pokémon más rápidos del juego. Así que. ¿Qué hace barrera? Dios, vamos a quitar la anulación. Quizá. Es posible que suba armadura, sí. No se curte mucho, creció. Agasa. Sí, sí, sí lo es. Es para la defensa, sí. Agasa es el mayor problema de la mayoría de rounds de un solo Pokémon. Es temible, Agasa. Pero soy psíquico. El problema será Lance para mí. Con Lance spameo psíquico el ataque, pues estoy guardando. Estoy usando confusión solamente ahora para ahorrar PPs. Confusión confunde. No lo sabía. En serio, no lo sabía. Vale, vamos a darlo. El que me da problemas es Lapras. Porque esto no me dará problemas. Esto es un psíquico, muere. Como diciendo, esto es un psíquico, muere. Rápido y reflejo. Reflejo es especial, además. Espera, no estoy haciendo mal esto. Esto hay que... Ahora. Esto es un... 2 hits, esto. Tengo que meter un crítico. Ah. Me creí que no me tengo ahora que está 1 de vida. ¿Dónde cojones? Arcanine. Arcanine. Debe venir de ciertos hits. Esto. Sí, abajo de especial además, o sea. Venusaur. ¿Qué voy a hacer con simplemente? ¿Qué es un ataque especial? No he entendido. Ah, es cierto. Súper efectivo. Y ganamos. Sí, azul. Hasta estado 5 minutos de campeón. Wow. Squirtle, nivel 65. Tipo uno psíquico. Hostia, 10 horas casi. Wow. A que envía a hacer esto solo hizo en media hora en real, o sea, 3 horas, unas 3 horas y pico, y poco. Sí, sí. La mayoría de eso ha sido por 4, no sé qué. Sí, sí, sí. Créditos, lo siento, pero me dais igual. Yay. Yo voy a chapar ya, o sea. Literal, streaming de hoy era hacer esto. Quizá haga más. Quiero hacerme una guía para no perderme. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? Yo siendo yo. En fin. No sé. Yo confío. Yo confío. Yo que tengo mucha confianza. Nah, pero sí, o sea. Chachi. Vale, pues gracias por pasaros. Y de la mansión, pues ya que estar de charla. O sea, que estar chill, pues. Either way. Tal vez.